One side doesn't work, right?
Both worked, but it might be that it was not connected properly. All right, hello everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good. How's the weather outside? Not good. Too hot. Okay. Nice. So glad to have you all here again. Today we're gonna see strings, but before we move on to that, I wanted to kind of get a sense as to how did the lab went yesterday. Is there any questions that maybe we would like to address before we jump into the lessons? Strings. Renee. Which one? Last bonus questions. Let's see. Anybody else has like one question that let's actually get a vote on Renee's going over the last bonus question. Okay, cool. That's pretty good. Any other question that we would like to address? Camille? FizzBuzz? Okay, let's get a vote on that. FizzBuzz. Visiting FizzBuzz. Okay, we don't have as many, but okay. We could do those too. Let's see. So, oh, not this one. Okay, let's do FizzBuzz first. And you're gonna help me write it. So the problem says write a loop that uses console log to log all the numbers from 1 to 100 with 2 exceptions. For numbers divisible by 3, you should log fizz instead of the number, and for numbers divisible by 5 and not 3, you should log buzz, right? And number 7 was kind of a twist on that question, saying if it's divisible by both 5 and 3, it should log FizzBuzz. So, okay, it says to write a loop, so I'm gonna go in my terminal. I'm in my strings folder. I'm gonna go back to my loops folder. I'm gonna do that in my loops file. Okay, let's comment all this out. So what kind of loop do we want to use? While or for? For? Okay, so according to the question, we should do numbers 1 to 100. So how do I write a for loop that goes from 1 to 100? Douglas? Okay.
Open parentheses.
Got it.
Let x equal 1.
Uh-huh.
Semicolon. X is less than or equals to 100.
Got it.
Semicolon.
Semicolon. X plus plus.
Close parentheses. Open curly bracket.
Got it. Somebody else gives me the next part. Let's see. Khadija, can you give me this next part? We're writing a for loop to do FizzBuzz. Douglas gave me the pieces to start. Yeah. if X modulo, modulo what? 3? This bus. You did X to see the number, so you did something like X plus this bus. Okay. Let's try to run this. Let's see what we have. Right, let's see, I have my loops file, so I'm gonna do now loops.js. Oh, I think I have some unfinished business. Right. Right, so what are we seeing currently on screen, according to this code? Jan? Right, it's printing the number that 3 and 5, that 3 and 5 evenly divide, and next to that is writing the word FSBus. Okay, I think we're in the right path. Camila, is this making sense so far? Let's see as we move along. Let me know if it doesn't make sense. Let's try this. What do you think we're gonna see? Deja. X equal 1. That's it. So we're almost there. We're logging the numbers 1 to 100, right? We have one problem, which is we're kind of repeating 15 and 15, right? And in here, it shouldn't log the number. So let's just get rid of that. It shouldn't log the number. Right now, it's no longer logging the number next to it, but we still have this one. Cool. So this is incomplete. Who can give me the next piece? Shane? Actually, let's try this before we move on. Okay. Maybe next to this one, it will be good if we can log X so that we can see what numbers is printing this for. Okay. So it seems that let's go to here. For 3 is printed this, for 6 printed this, right? That's kind of making sense. 3 and 6 are evenly divisible by 3. Okay, we still have this problem that 9, for instance, who's divisible by 3, still showing the number. Wait, which one am I here? 8, 9, right? In here, it shouldn't log. Oh, let's see. Right, here it shouldn't log 9. So, okay, how can we fix this? Last step. Let's see, somebody else. See him. What step are we missing here? We currently have FSBus, right? This will be in place of the 15. We're still printing 15 next underneath. For instance, in here we can see that 12. We're printing fis, but we're still printing 12 under. Maybe they put it under an else. What should I put under an else? This one? Okay. Why would I want to do that? Right. So if we don't, as we don't have the else, this is printing it anyways. It's still running there. The else, what we'll do, as Sandra was saying, it will prevent it from once it went in either one of these, it's not going to run the else anymore, right? Does that make sense? Else, if and else if statements have the condition, right? And if one of these conditions is true, it just goes and executes the body of that if statement. So if it falls under the first if statement, it's never going to run the next one or the third one. So let's see what we have currently. Okay, I no longer see repeated numbers, 99 fis. Okay. Is this making sense so far? Okay. Okay, so the last piece is getting fuzz. Let's see, somebody else. Suzette?
So before print the console.end condition, then else if.
Okay, you mean like before this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do else if.
And then it'll be x modulo 5 equal to 0.
Okay.
Console log. I don't know what number.
Okay, let's just get rid of the number. The number was kind of just for debugging purposes. And let's put these else back in. And let's see run. Right? But let's see. 1, 2, fis, 4, 5, plus fis, that's 46. Let's see 15, 14, 15, fis bus. How do we feel about this one? Good, thumbs up? Got it. Okay. Camille, how does it feel? Cool, I'm glad. Okay, so let's go on to the next one, and I'm gonna rush over this one a little bit. So the last bonus exercise was to, if you are given a variable n equal to 2, to create sort of like a square of 2 by 2. Right, and if n is equal to 3, create a square of 3 by 3. So for doing this, what we need to do, how can I get one? Let's say I want one line of 3 asterisks or n asterisks. So let's go. Let me open this. Let's have this on the side. So let's say let n is equal to 3. And I want a loop that is able to create a line of 3 asterisks. Michael? Okay. Okay, concatenating asterisk. Okay, how would I do that? 4. Okay.
And we set I.
So how many times do we want to loop? If I starting at n, greater than 0. Okay. Right. Or actually, let's start I at 0. while I is less than n, increment I. Okay, so you're talking about concatenation.
Yeah. So I don't want to count one of it.
Okay,
We create a string, string.
where do I do that? Here?
Yeah, inside.
Create a variable?
I did it separate. I split it back string first outside of it,
Okay,
and then in the loop.
okay, let's try that. That string equal an empty string, okay, nothing inside, and then
String plus equals
string
asterisk.
plus equal asterisk, like that. Okay. Who can see there's gonna be a bug on line 106? I mean, quotes, right? We want this to be in quotes. Okay. Okay. Can we see maybe what this gives us if I do console log string? What do we think? What is this gonna give us if I console log string here? Let's see. Oh, header. If I console log string here, what is this piece of code gonna give us? Only 1 star? Okay, that's it. 3 stars. Okay. So we build our first line. Now we need to build three more. Or we could have said something like we build this first row that has 3 columns or 3 asterisks. How could I have it do, after I've done this, do 3 more lines of the same? Or 2 more lines, actually. What's the next step? Camille? I add an iteration. Okay. Could you guide me through that? Maybe you mean another for loop? Do you mean another for loop? Okay. Who says another for loop? Thumbs up if you say another for loop. Cool. Yes, that's the answer. Another for loop. So we could have done that here. Oh, what's this? Let's do j equal to 0. Well, j is less than n. J plus plus. And then what do I type inside the body of the for loop? If I want to have 2 more lines, we're going to see something interesting happening. A little bit louder. Say it. Plus equals 2. Where would I do that? Somebody can help Camille? What if I do console.log string? What is going to happen here? O'Neill? It's going to print 3 versions of the string, basically, right? Right, of the concatenation of string, which this for loop is doing. So this for loop is adding 3 asterisks to string, and then the next for loop is just printing that string with 3 asterisks 3 times. So let's see now. Ooh, we are almost there, but we have 4 rows and 3 columns. Yeah, go ahead. We're incrementing j and I. So how many times is this loop running? Oh, actually, I think this last console log is throwing us off, right? Okay. So just so that, how do we feel about this one? It's kind of yeah. Let's do the thumbs up, middle, or down if you don't feel great about this. Okay. Um, what do we think is kind of confusing about this? Like, if you could describe Malik, for instance, like, what do you think? What's the part that you feel like you get lost? Right, but if we step in our code line by line, it should make sense, right? We start with an empty string. We loop 3 times because this is going to be from 0 to 9 to n. Sorry, and it's not including 3. So this is including, this is 0, 1, 2, and for each one of those is going to add an asterisk to string. So if we were to see the breakdown of this, it will be something like, let's say we have I here, and we have string here. So when I is 0, what do we do? When the first iteration. Almost. We're not printing it, but what are we doing on this line? Douglas? Right, we're asking the computer to memorize it in a variable called string, and this is called string concatenation, right? We start with an empty string and then plus equal. Do we remember the plus equal in strings? It concatenates to the end of the string. So on the first iteration, when I is 0, string will be equal to this string with only 1. Now I moves to 1, and string is going to be equal to 2 of those. Now I moves to 2, and string is going to be equal to whatever was there before plus 1. And once I is 3, we don't do this anymore because now I is not less than n, right? N is 3. Yeah.
Okay, can you explain, you said that string plus
A string plus equal, string asterisk is string concatenation, and we're gonna see more of that today. Okay, and then so we could think that string at this point is gonna be equal to 3 of these. Right? Now if string is 3 of these, now we just need to loop 3 more times from 0 to n to less than n, which is 3, and just print 3 of those. Yeah.
I guess someone could think just repeat that line. But you would repeat that line from 103 to 107. This variable?
103 to 107.
Like
This.
copy, let's say you just copied 103 to 107 and ran it again. It doesn't quite work there, does it?
Right now, it's not. It's just gonna do. Well, I will need to copy it 3 times. Right. Cameron. Can we put in here? Next line here. Let's see what this gives us. Yeah, Renee. Wait, say that again, a little bit louder. So it's gonna give us 9 because first we build 3, right? 3. This at the end of this loop, string is gonna be equal to this, right? After that, we just ask the second loop to loop 3 times, and each one of those times print whatever string has. And string has again this, so it does it for I equals 0, for I equal 1, and for I equal 2. It will just print what string is, and again, string here is just these 3 asterisks. Cool. Any other questions? So do we see how one loop builds it kind of horizontally, and the other one does it vertically? How do we feel about this now? Middle, okay. Let's see. What if? Down header. In the second for loop, what can I do here? I think if you could speak a little bit louder, I cannot hear. Like this? Let's run this and see what we get. What's going on here? Is that what you expected? Right, so here what's going on is we start string, at this point string is 3 of this, right? We console log string, so we see what it was, 3 of them. Right after we console log, we add 1 more at the end. So string now from having 3, now it passed to have 4. Then we console log that. That's this 4 that we see here. After we have done that, we add 1 more. Now we have this. And we console log that. In this console log, we have 5 now. Yep.
Why does it keep on going?
I'm sorry?
Why does it keep on going? Let's say 0, and J is less than 10.
Right.
And then you keep on adding 1.
That's correct.
So why does it keep on adding?
It doesn't keep on adding because of this condition. Right? If we look at this,
0 is less than 10.
right, and then we add 1 to n. So that now, no, sorry, we add 1 to j. Now j is 1. So j 1 less than n, yes. Cool. Okay. So this will only become more familiar with just more practice. Cool. Okay, any questions before we jump into strings about this? Lewis?
Super quick. So for bonus number 2, one right before this, you're using a function. Could you do that really quick?
Right, so this one is, we ask you to use this function. So use it, just copy it to your code. And then the task is use the assign grade function given below, write a function that logs each number from 60 to 100 along with its corresponding letter score. So it should be, if I put 81, I should have basically my console log should look like this: 81 B, 82 still B, 93 is A now. And then if you read the hint here, there is this example. So let's try this. For that, let me comment this. So let's see what we currently have. Right, so we are console logging grade, but what is grade? Grade is the result of assigned grade where we pass value 80. And we haven't gotten into functions yet, but what you need to kind of, if you look at this code, it has a bunch of if statements, and then we don't even need to, we can just kind of derive it from saying, okay, this else if is asking if it's greater than 80, then do something with B. It's somehow going to give me B. And that is exactly what we're seeing. Oh, actually, wait. If it's greater than, well, in this case, 80 is not greater than 80. So it goes to the next one. 80 is greater than 70, true. So somehow give me C. And that is what we're seeing, right? So the exercise here was something like write a for loop from 60 to 100. Going up. And then console log the grade. I'm going to paste this here along its letter. So I know that the grade here is the letter. Let's just call it letter then. So if I do this now, what do I see? I see 100 C's, right? Yes. Right? Because, well, I'm always passing 80 here, so it's always doing it for 80. But now, in here, we have variable I who's changing. So let's try what happens if I put I here. Now I have some A, some B, some C. Right? And the last thing that I was asking you was to console log the number followed by the letter. So for doing that, again, we do string concatenation. So let's do I plus, let's give it a hyphen in between. Close that. So here we're concatenating whatever I is. I will start at 60. We'll go up to 100. It's going to put a hyphen in the middle. And it's going to concatenate that with the letter. So if we do no loops, now we have, actually, I think the exercise asked it in the other way around. Oh no, the number and then the letter. Any questions about this? Owen? Right, so you did something like this? Like that? Should still give us the same, right? Because, well, the right side is an expression. It's going to be evaluated to something. That something, or in this case, a letter, one of these letters, we save it into letter. But we could have, nothing is preventing us from just writing this as here, kind of having the expression right there, and JavaScript will still evaluate it. And we still see the same thing. Okay, one more question before we jump into strings. Joanne? Number 4. Write code that prints, logs all the numbers that end in 5 from 1 to 100. Exclusive. Pro, you can help me with this one. Let's write down all the numbers that end in 5. 5. Do we see any pattern kind of showing up? What's the pattern? Uh-huh. Okay, yeah, numbers on the left. So 1 is kind of going up by how many? From 1 to 2, right? To 3. And if we look at it as a whole, from 15 to 25, how many do we have between 15 and 25? 10, right? So how could I write a loop that prints these numbers? Pleasure. Uh-huh. I equal 5. Uh-huh. Okay. Increment by 10. How do I do that? Plus equal 10. I. That's it. All the numbers that end in 5. So this is a good example for when it's kind of hard to wrap our heads around a problem. It's always good to kind of imagine what the output should look like, and then kind of writing it down. And then in doing that, you kind of realize the pattern that they're increasing by 10. Okay, so let's jump right into the topic for today, which is strings. So who read the lesson before coming here? Cool. Okay. Thank you. Really glad. Yeah, that's true too. Okay, so let me pull up my notes here. Okay, so we have already seen strings. Who can tell me what they are and how can you identify a string? Vanille? Quotation marks? Okay, so strings always have quotation marks. So let's do, actually, let me create a file here called strings.js. Now I'm gonna open that with Atom. Oh no. Okay, so Vanille said strings always have quotes. What else? Sure. They're more than 1 character long, generally, right? Because this is a string with how many characters? 0, but still a string. Right. That's a good question. The distinction between characters and strings. In JavaScript, that line is very blurred. You could talk of a, this one letter, to be a string on itself. So generally speaking, we talk about a character. So let's say A and B, A, B, C are 3 characters, and they all constitute as one string. But in this case, we have a character that is at the same time a string on its own. Anything else that we know about strings? What can we do with them? Hugo. Right. We could also have something like 200, right? But because it's in quotes, it's not a number, it's a string, right? What else? What can we do with strings in general? What have we been doing with strings? Concatenating? I really like that word. I don't know why. How do we concatenate strings? Camille? Plus sign. Okay. Anything else that we know about strings? Yep. That will be the variable name. So right now, these are strings. If I run this JavaScript program, let me just have another tab. If I run this is a JavaScript program that I have wrote on my left. If I run it, it's not doing anything so far, right? And here, I just wrote some strings. That doesn't break my program, but I'm also not doing anything with those strings, right? So I think one thing that we could do with strings is save them to variables, right? Or assign them to variables. So I could have something like let string, or str for short, equal that. If I try to run my program, still nothing, right? We're not doing anything yet. We're not asking my program to print anything. Let's do console.log str. Now, we run. Oh, we see the quote that we have saved. Okay, cool. So, okay, we saw that some of the stuff that we could do is concatenating. And do we remember what happens when I have double quotes like this? So, okay, so we saw concatenating. Let's do that here. Actually, let's remove this. Let's do something like let's put that down. Let's just keep this as our example of concatenation. What happens if I want to say something like something in quotes inside something that is in quotes? It will print the quote. Let's try to see what happens. Oh, no, it didn't like that. It says unexpected identifier. Renee? I need a backslash. Where? Here? Before here? 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 Okay. What is that doing? Joy? Right, it's escaping this quote. So, or in other words, it's kind of asking JavaScript, okay, don't take this as a special character, which is the quote. Take it as a literal quote, and I want it to be inside my string. So, okay, I did that. Is that the only thing that I need to do? So right now it was complaining right under here. Let's see if I run it again. Oh, now it's complaining around always. And it's complaining for the same reason, unexpected identifier. O'Neill? Right, it needs another one here. Oh, this kind of goes, I like quotes in general, and I didn't realize I had typed. right now, my console log actually displays those quotes. Right? Any questions so far here? Yeah? Uh-huh. Right, this one. This one, it is being printed. We can see it here. What do you mean that it doesn't go out? That's correct, yeah. Right, so here we are saying, we're asking JavaScript, this is kind of like a special sequence, a slash and a quote. But there are other special sequences. There are one that is, or escaping sequences. Another one is for apostrophes, just like a single one. Right, so you mean like something like this? Like that? Uh-huh. Let's see what this gives us. Right, I was able to put the apostrophe there. But in here, in this case, I don't need that because why don't I need a backslash when I have single quotes? This is bringing a good point. Douglas?
Because you're using double quotes rather than.
Right, because I'm using double quotes as the outer quotes, right? As the quotes that said to JavaScript, this is a string. That's correct. If I had single quotes, then I'll need to do backslash. Okay, so as I said, there are other special backslash something. One of those is backslash n. Let's see what this gives us. Let's run. What do we see? Let's see. Brianni. Say that a little bit louder. It made the rest of the string go on a separate line. Does everyone agrees with that? Thumbs up if you agree. Cool. Right, so we see that Alejo is displaying on the first line, then there is a space, and after that, always have quotes. So backslash n it means new line. It means add, kind of break the line here, and after that, keep doing the rest. So, yeah, Shara? Great suggestion. Yes, you could have done the stars question with this, and only using one loop. I'm gonna let you explore that in your free time. So how many of these can I have? Let's see. What are we gonna see here? I put 3 of those. Backslash n. Let's see. Oh. So I did 1 here. So this one is 1. This one is 2. And the last one is the one that we kind of don't see, but it's the separation between where this A starts and then this line ends. So you might not realize, but when you're typing, for instance, git add, something like that, when you hit enter, what you're actually telling the computer is that this line ended, now kind of go to the next line, right? Or we do that when I press enter here. Under the hood, I'm adding stuff like this. And I could actually, I think I could show you. So you see how, oh, well, if I save, it kind of removes them. But let me show you, there's this special program called Catch. I think I could do to see like the hidden characters. Maybe it's T. Let's see. BENST. Display non-printing characters. Okay. So I could do something like cat E message file directory. Oh. So in here, cat is a program that also allows me to see kind of hidden characters. And here is representing the new line characters as this dollar sign. So in here, this file, my file has some of this right at the end of here, and on the that's it actually. Has one in at the end here because I have added a new line, and it also has one on line 2 after line 2 ends. So that's just something to keep in mind, that when you hit enter on a text file, what you're adding is new lines that will look like this. Okay. So and this is funny because this comes from, actually let's look at some others. So another one of those is \T. What do we think this one stands for? So N was for new line. T, do we have a suspicion? Tab, that's it. Node strings.js. Right. That indeed added a tab here. Instead of just like, let's see more obviously if we do like this, that it appears to be together. Now run. Now I see the space. This space here is a tab. When you hit the tab key on your keyboard, that's that character. It's an invisible character, right? Like we see the separation, but we don't see it as a little character. Okay, let's see. So that's that. So if I want to add tabs, I could do that. And this, what I wanted to say is that this comes from the old days of computers where they were like a typewriter. So new line was when you had to add a new line and then like roll the paper up to go to the next line. That's like literally what it meant. And then there was another one which is R. We very rarely use R. And R stood for Carriage Return. So that's when you do in the typewriter, you go up one level and then the carriage will have to move to the left, right? To the left, since you finish typing your one line. The next thing that you wanted to do is add a new line, so the row will roll up and then go to the left. And then let's see what we have here. Carriage Return. Look at that. So it kind of, what did it do? So we could think of, it kind of wrote Alejo, and then we asked the carriage to go back, and it went back, and it kind of overrode Alejo with the rest. So we left it out. But we don't, to be honest, this is kind of, we don't use this a lot in our programs. Just kind of a fun fact. So here.
Going to go down the line, greater the line, but we do backslash and those immediately to that position that you said. Backslash I, right? But is there a way to go down the line but not go to the margin?
You mean if I type something that will look like let me see if I understand correctly. So not go to add a new line, but don't go immediately. So this is not what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Always is going to the left, right? Right. So the computer automatically is kind of doing the carriage return, and that's why, like in digital systems or in modern computers, carriage return doesn't make sense because new line is kind of already doing that. And in digital system, like there is no carriage to return. Something you could do is like add tabs, for instance.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll have to like define
Right, the right spot. Okay, so we saw some of those, some of fun and special characters. I think you could even put an emoji in the string, but that could. Let's actually try to do that for this one. Let's just grab this one, copy it, and then I'm gonna paste it here. And let's try to run this. Right, so an emoji under the hood is a bunch of characters that the computer just understands as this space. But under the hood, there is some other characters that we could get to see if we explore strings more deeply. Okay, so let's see. Let me just look back. We saw the special ones. Okay, so I want you to take 5 minutes to experiment with the special characters that I show you, the new line, the R, and the T, and experiment with those. So write some code that does something with those, and the next exercise will be write code that prints a page of new lines. So basically, once I run my code, this if my prompt is at the bottom, it should appear at the top. So imagine I have already run my program. So I'll have something like this. Actually, I could do it here so that you have an idea. This is another way in which I can print stuff. And you see this will still work here. Oh, I missed. Right? So write a program that will print all this kind of empty space, but in JavaScript. So take 5 minutes to experiment with \n, \r, and \t. If you're done before the 5 minutes, Google what are other special characters. Okay, how did I go? Good. Let's see in the back. How did the exercise go? The Dante's table. How did the exercise go? Good, cool. Were you able to print like a blank screen with new lines? Okay. Did you discover any new backslash something? Okay, so let's move on to string properties. So when we talk about string properties, we're talking about, let's first do an exercise where let's talk about that whiteboard, right? Can everyone see the whiteboard? So what are some of the properties of that whiteboard? Like describe the whiteboard to me and tell me some of the properties that it has. I'll need somebody raise their hand. Suzette? It's a rectangle. Okay, so it has a shape, right? We could talk of the property of shape, which is a rectangle. Somebody else? Joanne? It has 4 corners. Okay, that's kind of related to the shape, right? A rectangle has 4 corners. Camille? Solid, okay, so what would that be? Solid would be the actual value of the thing. So in the terms of, we were talking about the shape is a rectangle. So what would be the solid? What would solid be? The consistency? No. When you talk about liquid, gas, yeah, Hugo. Right. So, Camille, that's a good one. I don't kind of come up with the opposite or with the generalization of what that will be. What are some of the other properties? Maybe height, right? It has, I don't know how high that is, 5, 6 feet. It has a width, right? So just like that board has properties, most of the stuff that we do in JavaScript and values, like strings, have properties as well. So one property that we could see or we could talk about is, let's remove all this stuff, is if we describe the properties of this string, what do we kind of see? What can we talk about? Malik? How long it is, right? So we could talk about this string is, I don't know how many characters this is. Is it 17? Right? So we could talk about this string being 17 characters long. So for accessing properties in JavaScript of a value or a variable, in this case a variable holding a string, we could use a special notation after the variable name called the dot notation. So we could do something like str.length. And let's run this. Let's see what we have. Node strings.js. We see 17, right? So str.length is special, right? Like a string doesn't have a height, doesn't have a width. But I'm gonna let you to explore and see if you can find other properties. But this one is actually useful because let's say a tweet, for instance, a tweet cannot be more than, I think it's 128, or somebody corrects me if I'm wrong. 140, right? So with this, I can check how long is my message, and if it's more than 140, then don't allow that. Only allow stuff that's less than that. Actually, let's kind of do that one. Let's say I am in charge of writing this system that allows me to post a tweet. So we have some of the tools that will allow us to kind of write a program that is able to tell if we can post the tweet or not. So how will we do that? I guess what I'm asking is, that program, let's see, that program could look something like this. If string.length is greater than 140, then do what? Console.log, that is too long. Else, you can tweet. This console log saying missing closing parenthesis. What's this error about? Rene? My quotes. Oh, this one, right? I have 3 quotes, so JavaScript gets confused. So I need to tell this to kind of ignore or escape this one. Right, so I can tweet that. Oh, man, how can I make this 120 really quick? Maybe I could do something like, I'm pressing Command V a bunch of times. Let's see if that is more than 140. Now the length is 527 characters. And my program will not let me tweet that. Cool, so that's what a good use for knowing the length. Let's see. Right, another property that strings have is they are indexed. They are 0 indexed. And that is kind of like a weird thing to say and kind of wrap our heads around. But what that means is, let me just get rid of this. What that means is we could imagine as if every character in the string has a location, or rather an index that we could identify for. So the first letter, as I said, strings are 0th index, so they start at 0. So we could say that A is at the 0 location, L is at the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And actually, I think in this case, 1, 2, 3. They are not matching because like 5s are a little bit wider than O, for instance. But we can see what we're talking about here is this graph that if you read the lesson, you are familiar with. Right, so we have the string spring, and each character has its own location. So what is the location of S? Or the index, rather, 0. What's the location of, or index of G? Okay. What is the location of I? Right, and then we have the length. So those are the 2 major properties of strings, that they have a length and you could access it with string.length. And the second is they are 0th index. And you may be wondering how would that be helpful? Who can give me an example as to, or who can speculate as to why would that be helpful? Like, why would I want to have these numbers kind of to deal with the strings? Douglas? Sure. Right, maybe cut the string in half. Maybe I could say, we're gonna get to this. Maybe I can say, okay, I want to split the string on the 3rd index so that I end up with 2 strings, SPR and ING. So that's one news. So let's see how we could. Oh, by the way, this was my instructor and JR's instructor for the same class. Read Gaines. Okay, so let's go on our Adam. Let's see how indices in a strings could be helpful. So I could do something like, let's say I'm only interested in the first letter of my message. For whatever reason, I'm only interested in the first letter. Let's say now Twitter asks us, don't allow any message that starts with the letter A, kind of keeping the same model. Imagine Twitter just said, you cannot post anything that starts with the letter A or capital A. So now, how could we change this if statement to convey that idea as to if it starts with the letter A, you're not allowed to post it? Camille? Actually, before we move on to that, let's see. I will need to count. I don't think we need to count, but let's see if I'm saying, let's say Twitter asked me to write the program that will check how we wrote the program that will check how long the string is, and if it's too long, it's not gonna let me tweet. But now Twitter changed the rules. Now they want me to not allow any message that starts with the letter A. Yeah, bro. I equals 0. Okay, you're kind of down the right path. But I think maybe I went there too fast. How can we display the first letter, Renee? str, square brackets, open square brackets, 0. Okay, let's see. Let's run our program. Now we're looking only at the first letter, right? So what happens if I put 1? What is going to be logged? Okay. 2, E, right? So, okay, so we now discovered that this is how we can access specific characters in a string using the name of the string or the name of the variable where the string is, using square brackets to say, go to grab this index, and that's it. Then we close the square brackets, and here we put a number that is an index, right? How do we feel about this? Thumbs up, middle, down? Cool, okay, we're generally feeling good. Okay, so, yep, Pearl. For the previous examples, index was initialized. The initializer, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, but it could be related. I think you'll make the connection once we use loops and this. And then strings like this. So, okay, so any other questions? I think Renee, yeah. Oh, that's a good challenge. What if, like, Twitter doesn't let me use the word always? That, hopefully at the end of this lesson, you'll be able to, we're not going to talk about that explicitly here, but we're going to give you some hints that you could go in and explore, and you could actually write that. Mm-hmm. Pearl? That's how they do it. That's how some websites will not allow you to use certain words. Okay, so going back to our example, so we know how we can check for one character. So now how would this if statement need to change if, yeah, Suzette? Oh, str, square brackets, 0, okay. If that is, right, I don't want, if it's A, don't allow it. So let's try this. Node strings, that's not allowed. Now let's change my message. You can tweet. What if I put it lowercase? That's a good question. Let's do A here, and then here, let's check if it's A lowercase. What do we think is going to happen? General feeling is going to say you can tweet. Who's thumbs up if you can say it's going to say that's allowed? That's not allowed. I just got confused. Thumbs up if you say it's going to say you can tweet. Okay, where's the rest? The rest. So the rest, I'm going to assume you're going to say that's not allowed. So thumbs up if you think that is, the program is going to say that is not allowed. Okay, we're in for a surprise. Or maybe not. You can tweet, right? Why? Pupil? Right, it's sort of, it's checking for the casing, right? Or we could also say, and we could run a small check here in Node. We can say, is uppercase A triple equal lowercase a? False, right? They're not the same thing. They're the same letter, but to JavaScript, they're different. Okay, how do we feel about this? Any questions? So we're seeing how we could complement a Twitter application. Yes, it does. Good thinking. Yes, we could do something like, okay, if you start with A, I don't care if it's lowercase or uppercase. I could write my if statement to account for both with, as Douglas suggested, with an OR. So what would I type here? Oh, lowercase a? Who can help Douglas here? Let's see, Renee. Right? So now if I say, that's not allowed, that's right, because, well, A is not allowed. Now let's change it to lowercase a. That's still not allowed. Now we made our program a little bit more flexible. Okay. So we learn about indices, and we could say the same thing for any of the other characters given an index. Right, okay, so how do we feel about the fact that we could access characters with the index? Thumbs up if you feel good with that. Middle if you're still kind of shaky. Okay, so I'll recommend an exercise for those that maybe this is not making a lot of sense. Is write, maybe in a piece of paper, write your name, your first name, and on top of that, just like we did in here, on top or below, put the indices that each letter is going to have, and then write it in JavaScript and verify that, for instance, in my case, well, index 0 will be A. Kind of verify that the indices that you marked on paper match and give you what JavaScript is giving you. Michael, do you have a question? Where? Here? Yeah. Like put a backslash here? I mean here? No. I think I'm confused.
Let's say a label, right next to a label, well, next to the label, we do a backslash n, right? If I do.
Right. So what Michael is saying, if we calculate the index of this character, should we see it appearing in the console? So let's see. For that, let's skip this. Let's see. What is the index of that? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So let's try to do console.log string at index 5. Let's see the differences between string at index 0 . So we have this kind of middle bar to tell us what's going on. So what do we see? So index 0 prints A, then we print this line. After that, we are printing the new line. So that is at index 5. This character, which is kind of 2 in 1, right? It's escape sequence that's going to be interpreted as 1. We see, we print that, JR. Space have indices. You mean like if I do this, right? I kind of replace the new line by a space. Let's see what we have. You don't see it, but if I hover over here, there is that. That's the space that I kind of selected. Let's see if there's, well, if there's no space, then we don't see anything. But this is that space that I left. Is that what you were asking? Cool. Peter? Tab will be just one index as well, yeah. Let's highlight that one. T. Let's see it printed. Now. Oh. But like, it's not letting me select it actually. Or at least it doesn't, I think it doesn't display here. I could do that if I do. Oh, where was it? No, not here. Sorry. If I do node my program and cat et. You see, this is the tab. This is kind of, it's just that when I run it regularly, it's not, because we cannot see it, but this tells you that it's there. Okay, I think Brianne, did you have your, yeah. That's correct, yes. Right, yes, correct. Letter A will be at index 6. So if I change this to index 6, we have, oh, no, not here. You see A. And that kind of gave me, so what happens if I do something like this? What do we think is going to happen? Do we have 60 characters in this string? It's gonna print null. Any other options? Owen? Print nothing. Let's see. What did it print? Undefined. Do you remember what that is? Like when we declare a variable and we don't put anything inside? Undefined. Okay, so we learned about that. What happens? There's this one interesting problem, which is if let's say we're going down to Alejo. I want to print. Let's say now Twitter asks us the message that you're gonna tweet cannot end in O. So how would I fix? Let's kind of going back to this example. Now they're asking me it cannot end with O. How could we do it, Rene? The fourth? Okay, let's see. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Correct. Okay, we could keep it. We could keep our code dynamic if we do. So it cannot end in lowercase o or capital O. So let's see what we have. Oh, let's get rid of this. Right, it says that's not allowed, right? But what happens if, like, how do we feel about this, right? This makes sense. We're just accessing the last index, right? And we know that the last index is 4. But you know, like if you're Twitter, you don't know how long that message is gonna be, right? I could type any message. Brianna. Right. So we learned that we can know how long this is if we do str.length. Let's see that. So Alejo is 5 characters long. So what Brianna is suggesting is, well, we could take advantage of that property, and we know that the last character is going to be equal to the length. Let's see. Last character is index str length minus 1, right? We saw that the length is 5. Here we were putting 4. So if we take 1 from the length, we end up accessing the last character. So actually, I guess to demonstrate that, my program will be broken if I keep typing something here, right? The last character in here is J, but my program will still say that's not allowed. Why? Because it's still looking at the 4th index, and the 4th index, still character O, right? So, okay, we're going to get back to this. Right. In this case, it should have said that you can tweet. You can tweet that because it doesn't end in O. So going back to what Brianna was saying is we could use string length to that. So where can I use that in my if statement? Peter? In place of the 4, okay. What do I type? Minus 1, okay. On this side too? I'm just going to put this in another line so that we can see it and we don't have to scroll. This should still work. Okay, so let's see if our program works. Okay, that's not allowed. Still works. Let's see if this works. Oh, that. Who says it's gonna work? Thumbs up if you say it's gonna work. Thumbs down if you say it's not gonna work. And where is everyone else? Everybody else? My computer is gonna die. Who's with that? Okay, so let's see. Saying that's not allowed, and we have 16 characters. So how is it that, who can explain back to me, how is it that this works? Shayna? Right, so, and that's all thanks to using the string length, right? Because it doesn't matter how long the string is. Let's just do a really long string. It doesn't matter how long it is. The string length -1 will always give me the last one. That's not allowed. Yeah, Michael. Right. In a few minutes, we're going to get into that. Okay, so let's do one more using string the length. What if I have something like number, a number. Let's say here, for some reason, now Twitter comes back to us and asks us if you have an A in the middle of something else, then don't allow that. Like, how could I check for this A? Douglas? Okay, so we're dividing by 2. So you're saying in here, do I do, wait, say that again? str.length divided by 2. Okay, let's just get rid of this other or, so that we simplify our stuff. Let's see, so what is the length in here? Jonathan? I'm sorry, the length? Well, the length is 7, right? Let's see it here. Don't believe me, believe JavaScript. 7. And Douglas is trying to divide by 2. So 7 divided by 2? Let's ask Node because I'm not sure. 3.5. So let's try this. Let's see what happens. So this is gonna, before I jump into that, let's do. Oh wait. Oh, I'm missing an opening curly brace here. It says you can tweet. Oh, that's weird. I don't know what this is doing. You know what? Let's try this. Let's see what is at index. What is this going to be replaced with? 8. What's 7 divided by 2? Okay, so this is going to be, this entire thing inside here is going to be replaced by 3.5. And let's see what that gives us. Oh, I think some people just already saw it, right? Undefined. So we're kind of saying undefined is triple equal A? No, right? Undefined is not the same as character A. Yeah, Cam?
Looking at that meaning of is there a way to
There is no way to fill in 3.5. Indices are always complete integers. Mhm. Michael? We could use a for loop, yeah. Who remembers doing something in your code? I think it was with power when you were trying to do a number to the power of another number. Sure. Right, math.pow. So it turns out, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, math.pow. So let's see what this gives us. I'm going to go to this one. But more importantly, I kind of want to see, this is JS Math. Oh, this is, by the way, a very good resource for you to read and Google. So I guess before we go on to looking at the tool, why do we kind of need to have a whole number, right? By what I just said, like indices can only be whole numbers. So what would make more sense here? What number? 4, 0, 1, 2, 3. 3, okay. So we kind of have to go from 3.5 to 3, right? Let's just do like a check here. Let's do console log strf3. Right, now we're seeing this. Okay, so 3 is the right result. So how could we go from 3.5 to 3? What is that called in math? Round down, I heard. Any other words? Let's see. Let's type how to round down in JavaScript. The mat.floor function in JavaScript is used to round off the number passed as a parameter. So let's try to go here. Let's see if we have an example. Oh, so there is an example here. Math.floor 4.23 is going to give me 4. So I think this is what we need. Who agrees that this is what we need? Let's see here. Math.floor 1.6. Oh, it kind of says try it yourself. Try it. 1. Here we're doing math.floor 1.6. So how could I change my code to use math.floor? Yeah.
So you're just trying to get A?
Yes. Because Twitter told me find the middle character, and if that's an A, don't let it tweet. Renee? Here? Close. We want to divide that by 2, right? So let's kind of comment it here what's going on. So this string that length divided by 2, what is this going to give us? 3.5. And then the math.floor is going to round it down to 3. Does that make sense? So let's see if we have the same A that we were having earlier. Cool, we still have it. So now the only thing that I need to do is once we figure this out, is in here. So this is kind of getting. Let's do it first. Math.floor str dot length divided by 2. So let's see. What should this program give me now? If we wrote it correctly, what is it going to say? That's not allowed. That's not allowed. Okay. So, but this is kind of too long, kind of hard to wrap my head around. So I'm just going to break it down into a variable. I'm going to say let middle index is going to be equal to this mat.floor string.length. I took that to an external variable, and then here I say string at middle index. That is a little bit more readable. Who agrees? Thumbs up if you agree. Thumbs down if you disagree. Cool. Let's see if it still runs. Still runs, still the same thing. So now we kind of move from just reading the string length to actually doing maybe some math with it, and we can have the middle character. Okay, so thumbs, yeah, Cameron? So like what if we have this? Now what's the length of the string? That will be the length of the string as a whole. What's the length of this string? 8. So what would be the middle? Who says the middle is A? And who says the middle is ampersand? Camille? Right. So here you pick what is the middle, basically, because there is no, you could pick A or you could pick ampersand, right? Generally, you do pick the lower one, so in this case, you'll still be A. That's generally. Yeah, JR? Good question. I don't know, but I can figure it out. Right. Right. So if we wanted to, if in our program we wanted the middle to be the ampersand, if we decided that's going to be the middle, we can use, as JR said, math.ceil, because what does it do? Round a number upward to its nearest integer. Let's see what it says about math.floor. Round a number downward to its nearest integer. Okay. Let's see what I have here. Okay, so we saw how to get the last character. We kind of have seen how to add or concatenate other characters to our strings, right? Who can give me a quick example of, actually going back to, let's go back to the example where we were doing the stars, or where we were doing, let's say I want to write the numbers 1 to 5 in one line, right? So let's do, now that you're familiar with loops, we could do something like for let I equals 0 while I is less than 5, I plus plus. Now console.log Actually, I wanted to start in 1 and go up to 5, including. So I'm going to run this. And I see, oh, this is weird. I see 8, 1. Right, line 3. Good cast. Thank you. Let's clear this node strings 1, 2, 4. But now, let's say my employer asks me to print them in one line instead of in separate lines. How can I do that? Right? It is very similar to what we did with the asterisk, Rene. Anybody? Let's see. Cam? Oh. Okay, guide me through that. Okay. Inside the loop? Another string, okay. Wait, so I'm creating a variable, right?
Yeah, create a variable. That's a string.
Oh, we already have that one. Let's just comment this. str. What do I initialize with? Just empty quotes? Okay. Then what? str plus equals I. And I want them to be, okay, let's do this first. And then what do I console log on line 18? str. Okay. Let's see what this gives us. Oh. Right. This is how we learn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in 1. So let's see. Giselle, how is it that this is happening in our code? I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Okay, that's fair. Who can help Giselle, Renee? Uh-huh. That's right. Right. Let's do if it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. I always do the table where let's do what is I. Let's do what is the result of the question I less equal 5. And let's do what str is. So at the beginning of time, we have str equal to empty string. As the loop comes in, I starts at 0. Is 0 less than 5? True. What is str going to be? What are we doing with str in here? We're adding 1, right? So we put 1. After that, the loop runs again, goes back to the top, and it says now I is what? 1. What is the answer to the question? I less equal 1, less equal 5. What happens with str? we already have this, right? Because we're doing plus equal. What do we do? What's happening? Right. So we're kind of doing this, which in turn will result to, right? Is this making sense so far? Okay. What part?
921.
Line 21,
I get the second part.
This part. So
Oh, okay.
STR is this, right? So we're saying STR plus the value of I. Oh. Oh, actually, I starts at 1. You guys didn't correct me. So this is that. Now it moves to 2. Now we do, this is what STR was before. It was 1. And then the plus equal means to wherever STR was, add the new I. I is 2, right? And then that's going to turn into string 1, 2. Peter?
So, when you do plus equal, a string, where it just becomes a string.
That's a good observation. Yes. I here is a number. But because we initialize this as a string, Node is going to convert that number to a string. So it's as if I was saying something like, let's say space plus 1. Now, the return value of that is a string with a space and character 1. Okay, so if we keep going here, now I is what? The question? 3 less than 5. Now what is this going to be look like? Turns into can we see how we're building STR here? Right. Okay. So before we move from this example, let's say that now, actually, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. Now my employer is saying, I want them separated by commas. So take this code, and you're going to have to modify line 16 to include commas after 1. So it should log something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's take 5 minutes to do that. Oh, sorry. I don't know. Thank you, JR. You only have to change line 16 here. The change that you're making is on my file, line 16. Also, if you already got it to print with commas, you would have noticed that you have a trailing comma at the end. Get rid of it, because that's not allowed. Okay, I think most of you got it. Who would like to share? Just tell me what to type here to fix this line. Let's see, somebody who hasn't participated much. Maybe Aranza. In here? Plus. Quotations, comma. Cool. Let's see what that is giving us. Let me exit from here. Node strings.js. Boom, we have commas now. But we have one problem, which is this last one. Let's see. O'Neill, how do we get rid of that?
I wrote if I is not equal to 5
Where do I write that?
for the SDR plus minus.
Okay, here. You did if
I is not equal to 5.
I is not equal to 5.
Put the SDR plus equal.
Line 19.
Yeah, line 19.
Okay.
And then an else statement.
Else.
String plus equal I.
Okay, let's see. Oh, okay, cool. Good catch. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No comma after that. Who has questions about this? It's okay to have questions. Yeah, Shane.
The way I was trying to work was, for
String value length minus 1.
yeah,
Um,
but with that,
right, we cannot really use the string minus 1 here. I mean, we could, as we, on the next section that we're going to see some methods,
yeah,
we could kind of get it toward using the length. Okay. One question before we move to the next. I need one question before moving on. Renee? Walking through this one? Sure. So let's do the same thing that we were doing here. So I starts at 1. The question is true. STR starts with this. Actually, we add a comma right after. And we have a space. Let's get rid of the space so that it's easier. See it again? So when I is 1, we add 1 and a comma to string. When I is 2, the question is still true. We had, in here we had 1 comma. We do 2 comma, and then we end up with 1, 2. Right? Now when I is 3, question is still true. What we have before is this. This is what string was before. Now we do plus. Now what is I? I is 3 and a comma. That turns out to be 1, 2, 3. Same thing for 4. 4. Before that we had 1, 2, 3. Now we're adding 4 comma 4. Now when it gets to 5 is that something interesting happened, which is, all this time, I'm sorry if I forgot to mention, all this time, we were not going onto this if statement, right? This if statement here, this condition was always false because I is not, I'm sorry, all this time, this if statement, the evaluation of the Boolean expression was giving us true. So I is not 5, true, then go here. I is equal to 2, is I not 5, true, then go here. I is equal to 3, I is not equal to 5, true, go there. 4 is not equal to 5, then go there. Now when I is 5, this is the condition to our for loop. The condition is still true. We should have had, in here, if we were to do this correctly, should have added here the if statement, which is I less different than 5. And we're gonna have here true. Oh, no. Something like this. And then for the last iteration, I is 5. Then we go in here, is I 5 different than 5? Is I equal 5 different than 5? False. So we have false. And therefore, when we do the concatenation here, what did we have before? We had all this. And we do plus 5. And because this was not true, we went into the else. And the else is not concatenating or adding the comma at the end. Right? Does that make sense? Cool. I see a few of you nodding. So we end up with where am I? We end up with this. Right? Because again, I was 5. This condition evaluated to false. Therefore, we go to the else. The else only adds 5. It doesn't add the comma. Any questions about this? Cool. Okay, let's move on to methods. So we were talking about the board, right? And we were describing how some properties that the board has, like height, width, material that it was made of, shape. If that was a smart board, I could say board draw, and it will draw. Or I could say board I equal 5, and it would write that, right? If in an imaginary world where that board was super smart. And kind of similarly, or what I'm trying to do is the parallel to that in strings will be something we call methods. And methods are accessible in strings in the same way we add properties. So basically, we have properties and methods in strings. A property is just like length. It's giving us back the value of that property in the string, but a method will actually do something. And methods, I would say, I think 99.9% of the times are verbs, are written, or their names are verbs because they do something. So let's look at our first JavaScript method. Actually, string method, I'm sorry. So I'm going to comment this, and then I'm going to go back to, let's just start from scratch here. So I have that name, Alejo. And the first method that we're going to learn is console.log name that to uppercase. So very similar to name that length, right? What are some of the, let's do console.log. Let's see what this gives us. So what am I seeing in the screen? 5 and Alejo all uppercase. What are some of the differences that we see between name.length and name.to uppercase? Malik. A little bit louder. The difference in here. Okay, a pair of parentheses in here. That's good. That doesn't, length doesn't have that, right? What else? Say that again. Right, that is a good observation. Length is red, and to uppercase is blue. Right, that is Adam kind of helping us differentiate between the two. And I guess the other difference that I want to point out is the fact that length is a property, right? Is that a noun or an adjective? Would that be an adjective in English? Right? Hubel, you were going to say something?
Well, the two uppercases are like an action.
Right, exactly. And then two uppercase is a verb, or kind of like a verb. It's implying an action, as Hubel was saying. So those are two important differences. So what is uppercase doing here? What can we say that uppercase is doing? Jonathan? It's taking the whole string and making it capital. Right. And this is called, that's correct. It's taking the string name and making it uppercase. This is called, oh, what was I going to say? This is called, you're calling the method to uppercase from the variable name. Right. Who can tell me why, like, an instance where this will be helpful or useful? Jonathan? Making the first initial of your name capital. Right. That is a good example. In this case, we're making my entire name capital, right? But before we go into that example, any other ideas as to how uppercase could, why would it be useful? Michael? Security questions. Give me an example. Okay, so you're saying if I forget my password to go to Facebook, and then Facebook is asking me a security question. What's the name of my cat? I don't remember how I typed my cat's name. Maybe I put it all lowercase, or maybe I put the first uppercase and the rest lowercase. What you're suggesting is maybe Facebook can just, the first time I gave the answer to that question, uppercase it, and then the second time that I'm actually doing it again to recover my account, doesn't matter how I put it, because Facebook is gonna uppercase it, and now they're gonna match. Does that kind of make sense? How do we feel about that? I'm not convinced. Cool. We can get to an example where that is actually the case. Okay, so let's see this. Can somebody explain this to me? This is a weird thing. Or not weird, but unexpected. Or we could talk about what we think. Oh, console log name. Thumbs up if you say it's gonna say Alejo all capital case. Thumbs up if you think it's gonna say Alejo all capital A. Okay, can do this. Okay. Thumbs up if you think my program is gonna print Alejo all capital. Okay. Now, thumbs down if you think it's going to say Alejo just like it's here. Oh, okay, we have some division. Joey is like, cool. Let's try it. Okay, Pearl is up. Okay. we see Alejo all lowercase, just as it was here. So what do we think it happened here? Like, yeah, Peter?
Environment change the value of what strings, unless you console log, name to uppercase, it won't.
Right, so what Peter is saying is name that to uppercase on its own is not modifying the string. Right, it's not, there is no, this is uppercasing, but at the same time it's not changing name ever, right? Because we can talk about the fact that strings are immutable, so you cannot change them once they're declared. Yeah, Pearl. Right, so line 33 in this case is just being wasted, because we are uppercasing, but the problem is that we're not doing anything with the value of that. So this line 33 is an expression. That expression, as we saw earlier, is gonna return a value, is gonna result to one value, but the thing is we're not doing anything with it. JR.
So for the line 33, what if we put name equal?
What if we put name equal name that to uppercase? So let's do the same question again. Thumbs up if you say it's gonna say Alejo all capital. Thumbs down if it's going to say just Alejo as it is. Okay, see more thumbs up. Renee, that's a question? Thumbs up, okay. So let's see. Now we have all capital Alejo. Why is it that? Suzette? Right, I love that you use that technical term. It redefined the variable name, and to name is saved the result of this expression, right? And the result of this expression, as we said, is Alejo all capital. So again, the right word is reassigned name to be equal to uppercase Alejo. Pro? Parenthesis, right? Parenthesis. Yes, parenthesis. Always once you have a method, you're gonna be using parentheses to, it's something called invoking the method or calling it. Let's see what happens if I forget that. Oh, I see. It seems that console log name it tell me function to uppercase, so it didn't work quite as expected. So yeah, don't forget in methods you want to have your parentheses. So we saw that. Now there are some others. What's the opposite of uppercase? So let's try this. Actually, let's leave this one. So let's call this uppercase. Uppercase. And then let's say lowercase is equal to, let's take the uppercase and let's lowercase it. To lowercase. Say that again. Oh, right, name here. Let's do this is upper. Oh, right. Uppercase is equal to plus uppercase. This has to be uppercase. No, wait. This is just name, sorry. Let uppercase name. Now I'm gonna copy this line, paste it here, and I'm gonna say lowercase. Right, that's correct, Michael. Thank you very much. I forgot to declare properly with let. Let's see what this is going to give us. Uppercase, Alejo, lowercase, Alejo, lowercase. Peter?
Go to the on line 32 versus let name equal. Would it make like the J capital to begin with, would it affect it, or would it just keep it?
I'll say let's try it. Right, so what happened here is name starts with J uppercase, but then here we uppercase everything, so J just stays uppercase, and then in here we're just lowercasing the uppercase, right? So everything goes back down. Any other questions about this? Okay, so to illustrate, I think I need to make more emphasis on the immutability of strings. So we saw already something. So let's do. What if I do this? Name at index 0. I wanna kind of uppercase the first one. Would this work? Some said no. Who says yes? Thumbs up if you say once I console log name here, and I'm gonna comment out all this. What is console log name going to give me here? Let's take this. What do we think this is trying to do? Tell me what this is trying to do first. Let's see. Sihan, what is this trying to do? What do you think it should do? Anything that comes to mind? It's a valid answer. Go ahead, go for it. So it's gonna take. Okay. Uppercase? Okay. Let's see. So that is what I kind of intend to do. But let's see if it's actually going to do it. No strings, yes. Oh no. It didn't work. But my intention as a developer kind of makes sense, right? I just want A to be uppercase because that will look better on my social media handle or on my Twitter or on my LinkedIn profile, right? But it didn't quite work. And this goes back to strings that are immutable. We cannot change this string once we have defined it. I cannot. The only thing that I could do is what Suzette said. I could redefine the value of the variable to be a new string. Right? We did that when we were doing the asterisk exercise, when we were doing this exercise. Here we're redefining, we're reassigning. Yes, correct. The correct way will be we're reassigning string to be equal to what string had before plus I and a comma. So we can reassign variables. That's generally what we can do. But in this case, we cannot go in and just change a character from a string. That is an important concept to remember. So it's the same as if I have, let's see if I do name at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say I have name at 6. Let's say I want to add a $sign at the end. Still cannot do that. JavaScript is trying, but it cannot. Okay, so how do we feel about this? That you cannot go into a string and change the individual characters. We can make a copy of it and maybe modify. Out of making the copy, we could remove something. We could uppercase the letter and then kind of join them back together, but we cannot go in like this. Any thoughts, comments, Peter?
How console log, the two things that you put in that don't work, they just be false.
If you mean if I put console log here at the beginning of the line,
Yes.
that's a good question. Let's try. A and $sign. So this somehow evaluated to just A, and this somehow evaluated to just $sign. Yep. So is this clear? Thumbs up if you feel that this is clear, that you cannot go in and change one character. Okay. Who's in the middle? Deja. Okay, that's fine. Let's go one more time over this. Deja, what are we trying to do on line 40? Like, what do you think we're trying to do? Right, that's the right intent. But is it doing it though? Right? So what this demonstrates is that we cannot go inside a string and say, go to index 0 and then change that to A. Just JavaScript doesn't allow us to do that. We can do that once we see arrays. We could convert this string into an array of mutables. Joanne? Console.log name, that to uppercase here. That's it. Console.log allow. But I only wanted the first one. Malik? Say that again? Yes, there is a way to make a specific letter uppercase instead of the whole thing. And that is a good segue to getting into some of the other methods. Yeah.
Change it because it's not a variable. You can't say certainly here without again.
I think you cannot declare a variable again. That's correct. But in this case, we're not saying that. You could just think of a string. Once you define a string, it's gonna be like that forever, unless you reassign the value of the variable to a new string. So here I cannot change. Alejo will never change, even if I try to do this. But how I can change it is if I do something like what JR suggested earlier, name equal name, let's say name at 0. Now here, what I'm doing is I'm reassigning name to be equal to name at 0, name at index 0. So if I try to do this now, oh, name is not defined, or missing. Let's try again. A, but you see that this name now only holds one character, only holds one letter, and it's only this one. So I can change the value of name. I can change the value the variable was assigned to, but I cannot change if it's a string, I cannot change the value itself. Yeah.
So the name with the brackets, that's not like an array.
That's correct. It's not an array. It's kind of, but not quite. Okay, so let's move on to how could we actually have only uppercase one letter and then leave the rest as is. So first of all, I wanted to recommend you go on Google and you type string methods JavaScript. And then here, the W3 Schools is a good resource. You go there and then it tells you, it's going to show you all the methods that string have. So to any string, you could say that char add, that concat. Who knows what that does? That concat. Join two strings, right? We have been doing, it turns out that we have been doing it, there's two ways to do concatenation. One is with the plus, another one is using, we could use this method. We could say string 1, hello, string 2, whirl, and we could say string 1 dot concat. Inside the parentheses, we pass string 2. So go in there and check out some other methods. From here, we can see, for instance, uppercase, which we learned, convert the string to uppercase letters. So we have a string, then we have a variable called res, and we do string that to uppercase. Okay, so go there and explore. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to kind of glance at some of this. And I'm gonna give you 1 more minute. Try some of those. Try some of the ones that you found. Okay, who wants to share some of the one method that they found? Jonathan? It's in Slack? Code. Oh man. Okay, let's see if Jonathan can explain to us what this is doing. Okay, let's comment this out. So we had a problem which was, how can I uppercase only one letter? And let's see what this is doing. Actually, I'm gonna put this on here, this on here. Save this. So let's walk first over what this is doing. So we have a variable called name. Inside it has Alejo, and then it says name is reassigning name to be equal to name at index 0, and then uppercase that, plus or concatenate name that slice at index 1 or passing number 1, and then console log name. Let's see what this is going to give us. Oh, this solved the problem that Malik mentioned earlier, right? How can we uppercase only one of them? But how is this working? Yeah, Jonathan? Could you repeat that a little bit louder? Okay, so somehow this uppercase the first letter, and then this somehow is kind of that. Well, slice like when you're slicing bread, right? It's kind of caught in it. Starting from index 1. So what's index 1? L, E, right, L. And then it's going to kind of slice it there and then concatenate both into one again. So this, so that we remove doubts, let's see what W3 School says about slice. Slice. Extract parts of a string. So it says string hello world and then string slice 0 and 5. Oh, okay. This. Let's see this syntax: string that slice start and end. Start is required. The position where to begin the extraction. First character is at position 0. End, since that this other value is optional, and this the position up to but not including where to end the extraction. If omitted, the slice selects all characters from the start position to the end of the string, right? In our case, let's put this here. Put this here. So in our case, we're omitting the end value, right? We're only passing start 1. And then slice says here, extract part of a string. Let's see if we can find string.slice. So there are two major sources of good documentation for JavaScript in the web. One is W3 Schools, and the other one is the MDN, which is the Mozilla Developer Network. And I draw a lot of value by looking at both, because both explain the same thing but with different language. And so let's see. W3 School says slice extracts parts of a string. Then MDN says slice method extracts a section of a string and returns it as a new string without modifying the original string. So MDN here is showing us some examples. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, and then it says string slice 31, and we only see the lazy dog. So, okay, does that make sense though? Like, we were kind of slicing the string as if it was bread, and we're saying, in what index do I want to slice? Char? If you want to slice everything but the last 3 letters. Anyone wants to chip in to that? Michael? Right, this is an example. If you can put -4, it gives you the last 4. Another thing you could do is, do you remember string dot length? You could use string dot length -4, or -4, I think -4, and that should still give you the same. Okay, so, yep. How do we feel about slice? Yep. Yes. That's correct. So it kind of, again, let's see actually this exact example. So let's console log. Let's change this to let. Oh my. Let's do that result equal this. And this again touches back on the fact that strings are immutable. Now, console log result. Let's see. Node strings.js. str.slice. Right. Comment this out. Run the lazy dog. But look at what happens if we do console log str. str is immutable. It's not going to change, right? So with slice, I guess like a disadvantage is like we kind of cut from the later half, right? Or we cut after the index 31 or 31st, and the earlier half, well, it's kind of lost, or we still have str intact, so we could still get it if we say, let's call this latter half. I'm not sure if this is right spelling. So that's that. Let's say earlier half, or yeah. So do we remember that slice can take two values in here? One is the start and the other one is the end. So we could say something like str.slice. I want the earlier half starts at index 0 and is going to go up to, but not including, index 31. So again, let's see latter half here and earlier half here. Let's clean this node strings. The lazy dog, the quick brown fox jumps over. Right, so we can see how slicing, for instance, would allow us to rearrange words or even sentences as a whole and rearrange them in different orders if we wanted to. Okay, how do we feel about slice? Thumbs up, middle, down? Cool. Pearl, what does slice do? What do you think it does? Right, it gives you a certain portion of a string. That will be a more accurate language. Right, and then you always pass it where you want it to start. Where do you want to kind of cut?
31, 30, the 31st character.
Basically start, give me from the 31st to the last character, I'm saying here. And then here, I'm saying, give me from the 0th character or the character at index 0 to the 31st. Okay, one last thing that we need to touch on.
Before that,
Yeah.
one thing that's going to help you understand slice better is that you're using slice as a cake. So it's like you're cutting a cake. So if you like just like try to roll that up and try to have that imagery in your head, that's really what you're doing. Not with a cake. That's how the slice works.
Yeah, John? That's correct. So let's see what happens if I skip the second value. Not here, here. I skip the second value on the earlier half, and then what happened? It turned out that it's no longer the earlier half, it's the entire thing, right? This is supposed to be the earlier half, but it's the entire thing because it's saying slice is saying start at index 0 and go until the end. The number for the end, let's do, that will be str.length minus 1. Actually, it's not including, so str.length. If we do str.length minus 1, we're going to see that we still get the lazy dog, but we ignore the period. So again, this one is excluding the end. So now we have that. But so basically, on this line, on the latter half, if I omit this, basically it doesn't make any difference if I do str.length here or if I don't do it. Because by default, it's going to go to the end. Okay, so the last thing we have to touch on is something called string interpolation. It's kind of similar to string concatenation, but we're going to see how they differ. So let's go back to our example, or this example that we were having to do. Let's run it again. Right, so here we start with an empty string. We concatenate 1 to the end. We concatenate 1 with a comma to the end. Then we concatenate 2 with a comma to the end, and so on and so forth. We could make this a little bit more readable if we do something like this. I'm gonna leave this line so that we can remember it. I'm still gonna concatenate plus equal, but on the right side, I'm gonna do something called string interpolation, which to do that, and this is another string, which is backticks. These are not normal quotes, these are backticks. So, I could say something like, so for interpolation, we use the $sign to mean put the value. We use the $sign and curly braces to kind of ask JavaScript to put the value of whatever is inside the curly braces in the string. So here I could do something like this. What I'm saying here is, again, I'm still saying the same thing that I'm saying on line 17, just in a different, more readable way, in which I can plug in values from variables into a string by using backticks, $sign, and curly braces. So if I run my code again, this should still run as expected. So what would this be useful for? So I was doing another example here, which is, let's say I have let name Alejo, then let message equal welcome. I could do this. I could do something like message plus space name, right? And this is going to give me welcome Alejo, right? But this is also, I have to think, oh, what am I concatenating here, plus this empty space, plus the name. Another way we could do that with string interpolation is, I'm gonna comment this line, I'm gonna paste it. Don't comment this, comment that. Is, I could say something like string literal with backticks. Then I want to read the value of the variable message, space, and then I want to read the value of the variable name. Now, actually, I'm gonna uncomment them to see that they're gonna be, the result is gonna be identical. Do node strings, and the output is identical. So string interpolation here is a little bit more readable than having to think about the plus sign here. Michael? That's correct. For the bottles, where this comes in really handy when you're doing a lot of pluses in your strings. This makes more sense because it's kind of saying, okay, message and then name. How do we feel about this? And this one is, we kind of went fast over it. Yeah, Peter? Backticks, yes. This is that. Backticks, you find it above, under your escape key. Uh-huh. And again, this is another way to write a string. So now, do you remember that we saw single quote, double quotes? Turns out backticks work in the same way. But backticks have that added benefit that is, if I put anything inside $, curly braces, is going to bring in the value of that variable. Okay, so that concludes our lesson on strings. You all have an exit ticket that shouldn't take more than 10 minutes on Canvas. So please go on Canvas, find the exit ticket, and complete it.
Also, do not use any outside resources like Google and things like that. The purpose of the exit ticket is to see what you learned during the lecture and what you know on your own. So, yeah, no cheating, no nothing. I mean, there's nothing that we can check it, but I don't know. So, that. We also have the lab for the string. So yeah, please do them over the weekend. Finish them. Yeah, that's all.
Okay, we can take a look. Right, just to repeat what JR said, please work on the lab during the break. Since the lab is going to exercise everything that we saw today, I'm going to be staying till 11 for anyone who have any questions. So feel free to come up to me. And also, again, this is about us seeing where you are. And we can help you better if you're honest on the exit ticket. So please do that as honest as possible. Thank you. After that, you all are free to go.
Well, I think it on this Canvas it's like due tonight, but regard that, we'll check that Sunday night. Yeah.
Right, the exit ticket is due today.
Yeah.
The lab is due. Oh, where am I? On the 7th. That's correct. Oh wait, no. Happy 4th of July, everyone.
All right, happy 4th of July, y'all. See you next week.
See ya.
On Monday.
He's sad.
file.
Yes.
No other questions? The video watch.
Oh, wait, actually, you just made me realize that I have to end the stream.